All right. Thank you for joining me. This is our Facebook Live. I am back with State Rep Brad Halbrook. We did this about 4 weeks ago, I think, Brad, and it was kind of a session preview as they moved out of the governor's budget address into actually doing some work in committees. I will have to say, I think it's been pretty light in committees, even though there have been thousands of bills filed. And lo and behold, in the House, this week is deadline week. Tell people what that means for House committees, what it means for deadline.
Well, we have several deadlines, and Jeannie, thanks for hosting this again this evening, and it's great to catch up. So, several deadlines, but this deadline is the deadline to get House bills out of House committee. So, there's just a touch over 4,024 bills have been filed in the House, and so they all get assigned to committee or try to get assigned to committee. But what's been interesting in the last 2 weeks, there's only been 190 bills total come out of committee. Out of 4,000 in the last 2 weeks, only 190. And most of that activity was just last week. There were some committees that never met till 2 weeks ago. So it's really a slow pace.
Well, I know, but there's a lot of bills that they're probably going to rush through this week, which means that they're not going to get a full hearing. And in many cases, the appropriations committees, all they're doing is they're spending a lot of time, a good 2 hours, as you know, right, just talking with particular entities that want their funding. And so that's 2 hours out of a lot of legislators' time, which is not being used to review bills. So as normal, you're going to get a whole lot of bills that pass out, right? And what they're going to say is like, we'll hold it on second reading and we'll come back to you with an amendment, which is just an easy way to try and technically meet a deadline, right, that they don't really care about anyway, because if they want a bill passed or legislation done, they're going to do it regardless.
Well, right. And there's lots of shell bills, which are just that. They're shell. There's nothing in them. And there'll be amendments filed to them later, kind of circumventing the whole 3 readings rule. But you're right. I mean, the committees I sit on, is a mix between, just regular committees and then appropriations committees. Half or 2/3 of the bills that we've heard in the regular committees were going to be held up on second to bring back with an amendment. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And it's kind of, well, I guess the easy way to say this is really no way to run a train to operate like this, but it's just the way Springfield is.
So there's a lot of serious issues, though, that are being debated down there, and some of those serious issues are being pushed off. Now, why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of the things that are serious? For example, one of the most serious ones is this homeschool bill that it got delayed. It was supposed to be here in committee last week. It's delayed. I think that was a tactic of the sponsor, quite frankly, to make sure that opposition didn't show up because they were planning to. So what do you think? Tell us more about that bill.
Yeah, so the homeschool bill is probably the hottest bill of the session. I think there will see other hot bills as we proceed with energy and the like. But as of right now, there's 31,000 plus opposition witness slips, 721 proponents. This bill is scheduled to be heard Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. I think there'll be several families show up this week. Was it 2 weeks ago? I guess there were several hundred families that showed up on their rally day. And I think that's what ultimately kind of got it delayed or punted off down the road to what hopefully will be hearing this coming Wednesday. But, Jeannie, this, like other things, we've seen this movie before. They may not hear it, or they may go to a subject matter hearing only to bring out an amendment late in the spring, on Sunday night of Memorial Day weekend or something like that. To bring it out and to put it on something else. And then, while everybody's out, enjoying their Memorial Day weekend or whatever, they'll run this stuff through. That's what typically happens on these big bills.
Well, I mean, let's be serious about this for a minute here. The HB 2827 is the bill title. Mm-hmm. It's run by Tara Costa Howard. And this bill massively regulates homeschooling, which Illinois has been phenomenal about in terms of having a very light touch on homeschooling in the past. And it also requires private schools to register with the state, including specific information related to the students, their family, contact information, and their length of their school day and their school year, all sorts of information. Now, I found this interesting. Even the Chicago Tribune editorial board said that this bill overreaches. They said Why, we ask, are politicians focusing so much attention on homeschooling and private school accountability when statewide only 30% of fourth graders in public school system can read at grade level? What's the sales pitch, they ask? Come to public school where there's a 30% chance you might learn to read? We wish our lawmakers were spending more of their time pursuing ideas to improve our public schools instead of impeding private ones. That's what the Chicago Tribune said.
Yeah. Well, that's
maybe this thing goes down, Brad. Maybe it does.
Well, it should. And what's been interesting is the email and the calls that I've received that's advocating for 2807 or 2827. All the reasons why they say it needs to be done has got nothing to do with this bill. This bill is a regulation bill trying to put the kibosh to home education, to private education. And so the talking points that the proponents have put out there has got nothing to do with it. And so, that's really what's odd about this whole thing. But yeah, it hopefully will go down. We talk about this a lot, that last year across the nation, over 24 states either created new or expanded their educational choice programs. Illinois decided to go the other direction with their Invest in Kids. And then we go after this, right? It's more regulation on people that just want to be left alone. They pay their property taxes to the school. They pay their income taxes that a percentage of that makes it way back to the school. They pay their federal taxes that makes it some of that back to the schools. And yet they just want to be left alone. But yet the do-gooders in Springfield, they just can't seem to leave their hands off of this group of individuals.
Education is always such a big issue. And of course, Governor Pritzker last week was in front of the Illinois Education Association for their big dinner or whatever. And that's where he made the really disparaging comment, calling it a douchebag issue to get rid of the Department of Education. I mean, what a guttural sort of instinct for him to go right there in the gutter. And they were hooting and hollering over that comment, by the way, in the audience. They just thought that was so funny. All these educators and, teachers with their fancy degrees. But it's a joke. It is an absolute joke. And we need to keep a tight wrap on what's going on in our public schools, because they are abysmal. One other thing I wanted to get into, since we happen to be on the public school topic, and then we're going to get back to this bill list. So people stay with us, because you're going to want to hear about some of these bills going through. Since we're talking about schools, I mean, just the incident that happened Thursday night where everybody finally found out what was going on in Deerfield, Allen B. Shepherd Middle School. You have this incident, which has now gone viral. And in fact, Sandra Smith, who's actually from Wheaton, she picked up the story and had the mother on Fox News. But the mother went to her school board and said, look, what are you guys doing? My teenage daughter came home and said that she was being forced by 3 administrators to go into the locker room and told to undress in front of a boy who thinks that he's a girl. Was allowed in that locker room. It had been going on for about a month. And finally, the girl just said, I'm not doing this. They literally had 3 school administrators escort these teenage girls into the locker room and told them to undress. I don't know what could be more egregious than that. I mean, these people are out of their mind. Those women should be fired. The principal should be fired. The superintendent should be fired. This is a terrible situation.
Right. Yeah. And if I was parents in that situation, I would demand that those folks be walked out of there, that maybe not even allowed to clean their desk out. I mean, this is just despicable, this kind of behavior that they force these youngsters into. I guess it's really worse than despicable, but evidently this is where we've come to. I know that situation's about 3 hours north of my home area here. Hopefully we don't see stuff like that, but it's unfortunate that we're seeing it in your area, wherever it is. This is just bad behavior, and it's
terrible. I mean, this is all the doings of the unions and JB Pritzker too, by the way. But let's move on, because we don't want to be too long here. Okay, so Ann Williams has a bill in obviously energy and environment, and it's a ban on natural gas by 2050. No more natural gas, guys. Like, I thought they already did this in CEJA, and now they're back to take another bite at the apple. When, do they read the writing on the wall? Yeah, renewable energy is not working, 1. 2, Trump is getting rid of all of the subsidies for renewable energy. We need natural gas. Natural gas is the number 1 contributor to our electrical grid from the PJM market.
Right. And the stuff that I read every day, and I'm trying to follow this energy thing really pretty close, and it's very complicated. I don't profess to know all there is to know about energy, but it is complicated. But what I see in the graphs and the charts, Jeannie, is energy demands are continuing to grow. Okay. The alternative stuff has not been keeping up with the aspirational goals. Or the mandated goals that Illinois and many other states in the nation has put into place. It's not keeping up. Energy demand continues to grow, and yet the leading contributor to meeting that demand has been natural gas. Okay, coal has been on the decline, so natural gas is filling the gap because people are plugging more and more devices in. There's just more and more demand, and the big consumer we read more and more about is these data centers that are popping up all over the nation. The demand there is pretty big. And so natural gas is filling that demand. You know, when you look at this bill, Jeannie, I mean, it's just the demands. It's going to require the commission to audit all natural gas utilities that have over 700,000 customers. You know, this phase out of natural gas, I'm just trying to scan through here and see just what, so it requires natural gas utilities to 100% zero emissions from their fuels by 2050, with a 20% reduction from 2020 levels beginning in 2030, reducing it at 4% a year. Now,
yeah, well, it's just not bad. It's not going to happen. These guys are crazy, and they can try and monkey with market all day long. It's not going to work. Let's move on. What about the nuclear reactor bills? I have not read up on those.
Yeah, so this is something that has kind of been a thing, you know, with the again with the demand for energy. You know, nuclear has been declared kind of zero emissions, which it should be, or a clean kind of. It's a non-carbon fuel, and so there's some kind of things here with the number of megawatts, right? The 300 megawatts was the small nuclear reactor stuff that was in some legislation last year. And so this bill, there's actually two bills that kind of do some things in and around these size of nuclear reactors. There's some language changes. Again, this is nuclear is a kind of a complicated subject, but these are a positive step in the right direction. I mean, we can talk about FIJA and CEJA all day long. And, you know, you and I have both have campaigned against these bills because of the harm that they're doing to the grid, the reliability of the grid. I think these two bills might be a step in the right direction to bring nuclear back into the state and hopefully bring it back to the forefront and allow us to build some nuclear and expand that production in the state of Illinois.
Okay, so the other thing that you had teed up for me to talk about, and I've got my own list too. We're going to go through these crazy bills after we get through Brad's serious legislation. But they want to. I mean, this is so they want to phase out the sale of new gasoline and diesel powered cars, pickup trucks, work vans, and SUVs, leading to a complete ban on the sale of new non-electric vehicles in 2020-35 with limited exceptions. Is that what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, and I did not hear this hearing, but evidently the Pollution Control Board has put forth some of these goals to eliminate these medium, well, even the light duty vehicles with gasoline and diesel engines in them, the medium and heavy duty vehicles with gas and diesel engines in them, to phase those out over the next several years. I mean, I think it's funny. Some of a couple of the individuals that represent the trucking industry in Springfield, I bump in the hallways every couple of weeks, and for the last 2 or 3 years, I kind of kid them about have they outlawed or banned trucks yet? You know, have they outlawed? And he said, well, not yet, but it's just a battle every day. There's just this battle to keep the trucking industry in the state of Illinois alive, and this is just a full frontal attack to take trucking out of the,
trucking is a huge industry in this state. Right. It's massive. Transportation is a big deal in this state, and they want to ban the very modes that make sense and actually are the most efficient. Now, I think that this is also funny, Brad, because in DuPage County, the DuPage Democrats are sponsoring tomorrow, Tuesday at 4:45. If y'all want to come join us, from Southern Illinois to mock these people, mock them. Maybe they're going to have 10 Democrats show up. Who knows? But they are hosting a Tesla takedown protest event outside the Tesla in Lisle. Now, I mean, this is crazy. At the same time that they're going to be doing their protest, Elon Musk's SpaceX spaceship will be returning those astronauts that have been stranded for 9 months at the International Space Station. Literally at the same time on the East Coast, they're going to be landing, having been rescued by Elon Musk. And these DuPage Democrats are protesting outside a Tesla dealership that provides jobs. It's a thriving business. It provides lots of sales tax revenue to that municipality. I mean, and on top of it, it's exactly the type of vehicle they want all of us to drive. But hey, let's protest it because Elon Musk is finding fraud and waste, and you don't like that?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
nuts.
Yeah, I mean, this is a group of people that 6 months or a year ago, they were basically engaged in idol worship of Elon Musk and the clean vehicle or the electrical vehicle industry, right? I mean, this is kind of to the steps they were going. And now because of what he's doing, exposing the fraud and the waste and the abuse in Washington, D.C., he is now an evil villain person, and it's just like, again, this group of people a year ago plus, they were all okay with IRS going into your Venmo accounts and investigating any transactions, of a few $100s or less than 600. But now it's not okay for Elon Musk and his Doge team, if you will, to investigate what's going on with read-only access. All right. They're not changing anything. They're read-only access. They're making these recommendations to the administration that hopefully will get made to Congress to enact. And, it's just a crazy battle that how in a matter of a few months, how their viewpoint changes on this. The hypocrisy of it all, it just reeks, Jeanne. I don't know how else to put it.
I mean, it's really hard. And of course, Deb Conroy, former colleague of ours in the State House, she's in charge of the DuPage Dem. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to go through a couple bills. Okay. They want a loneliness task force. So it's now the responsibility of state government to investigate loneliness among people, anybody. It's a public health issue, loneliness. And I don't disagree. I just think that this is another task force. And you know what? Where's the families? Right?
Right. And I think that's the root of a lot of these problems is because of the policies that Springfield and DC has created. It's caused the breakdown of the family, and it just creates all these other societal problems. And so, but they continue to throw more government and more money at these problems. And it only makes it worse, Jeanne. That's the problem. These things, government can never replace the family, and that makes this stuff worse.
That's right. Okay. This one actually might be good, but I doubt that it happens. It's by Fred Crespo, who to his credit, as a Democrat, voted against the budget bill. Mm-hmm. But he has a bill now that says that any budget implementation bill or omnibus appropriation bill must be reported to the Appropriations Committee of each chamber at least 2 business days before being heard in any committee.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, and I mean, he seems like a common sense guy. I've served on the General Services Appropriations Committee as a spokesperson for 4 years. I'm still on that committee. I'm not spokes now, but I'm still on that committee. And Fred's a great guy. And he stands up and he talks about these appropriations bill that are subject to appropriation, which means that they're a new program, new spending, whatever. And to his credit, he did vote against the budget bill, like you said. So I'm happy I'm happy about that. Which there were 6 or 7 Democrats, I think, in total, for the first time in my history last May, since I've been watching the General Assembly, voted against the budget bills. So I don't know. I see where this all goes, but hopefully it leads to good things. But yeah.
Okay, so here's another one. This is a Bears Stadium Oversight Act. The Bears. Actually, it's called the Bears Stadium Oversight Act. And it says that it says to be eligible for public financing, a professional sports team must have achieved a .5 record in at least 3 out of the last 5 regular seasons.
Well, we have really important stuff to do in Springfield, Jeanne. We have a lot of heavy lifting.
Okay, you better have a winning season 3 out of the last 5 years. Otherwise, you're getting no money from the state.
So what happens
if they're like a big money maker? I mean, and not that I'm in favor of public financing of it. I just find that very funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This one is, I think, concerning. This is another Tara Costa Howard bill. And it basically it says that if you're a recurrent FOIA requester and you're deemed to be a recurrent FOIA requester, that they have a longer time frame to respond to your requests, and that you need to identify yourself as a recurrent. Oh my gosh, I'm a recurrent FOIA requester, and I need to identify that when I request anything from FOIA now.
Yeah, so I don't suppose that definition is probably not in there, what that means, or if it does, it may be very vague. This is what government does. I mean, just more silliness. If they would just be more open and transparent to begin with, post this stuff on the web somehow, some way, a lot of this stuff would go away.
Okay, and here it is back again in a new form, and like lots of sponsors on it already, all of them Democrat. A plastic bag reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so beginning 18 months after this act, no store or food service business shall provide or sell a single-use plastic carryout bag to a customer, and no grocery store shall provide or sell a single-use paper carryout bag to a customer. So we're getting rid of paper bags and plastic bags, and if you want one, you can't even buy one there.
Yeah, this is a reoccurring theme. You know, we talked, I think when we talked last, we talked about the bottle bill that was going to put a tax on returnable bottles, if you will, or disposable bottles. I mean, it's just this list of these things. There's now a ban on the small bottles that you would find in a hotel. There's bans on that. They did get that done, I believe.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
And, you know, the list goes on and on and on. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We have a few farming bills, and since you're in that type of community, I would just want to throw these out to you. The Department of Agriculture must create a grant program to award grants of up to $250,000 to cover the costs and labor of any qualified applicant farmer to distribute healthy, free food to expectant mothers in need who reside in the same county or a municipality within 20 miles of the farmer's farm with certain requirements.
Yeah, I don't know where the money's going to come from for this thing and how that all works. So, yeah,
I mean, so you know, you have to be. Yes, I mean you have to be pregnant, and then we can help pay a local farmer to give you food.
Right.
Well, another farm bill. This one provides, and Brad, I lost you on the video side. I don't know what happened there.
Well, it's just technology's great.
There you go. Gotcha.
Let's switch cameras here and see if that works.
Okay, sorry, no problem. Okay, this says that for food procurement in public institutions of higher education, they have a good food purchasing core values program, good food purchasing equity, accountability, and transparency program. And then it goes on to define good food. And of course, this is organic, locally sourced, minority farmers, you name it. Like it's all minority people who ship it, not so much processed. So they have this whole thing about good food program when you're doing institutional food that needs to come at a reasonable price to these kids. And oh, by the way, they're all going to the Chick-fil-A too. That's co-located next to where the food service is.
Yeah. It's just stunning the things we spend our time on. I mean, the house is burning down and we're smoking in bed, and it's just.
Well, in that regard, I did happen to look at the Revenue and Finance Committee, and there's a slew of bills in there, and there's all sorts of subcommittees. So one of them is the Property Tax Subcommittee. And in good news, people, in the Property Tax Subcommittee, there are 49 bills, ostensibly to help with property taxes, but I am betting none of them get passed.
No, and that's sad. We've all got property tax bills of one form or the other, and to grant some relief, give some relief to property owners is way overdue. Jeannie, you've talked about it a lot. Yep. I talk about it a lot. I mean, we've got the highest or the second highest property taxes, the overall highest tax burden in the nation. And yet we just double down in Springfield, or the majority party just doubles down on continuing to the same old to tax property owners out of their homes.
Yep. Well, hey, that was just a little quick update about what's going on in Springfield and what to look forward this week. Brad, you guys go down there Tuesday. You're in all week, supposedly. Who knows if they cut out Friday? But it should be a fairly busy week since it's committee deadline week. So technically speaking, bills need to be out of committee in order to go forward on the floor.
Right, exactly. Yep. We'll see what happens. And it is scheduled through Friday. Committees, I know, are scheduled all the way through Thursday afternoon. So they won't send us home. We'll be back in on Friday to gavel in and probably gavel out. But there, it can always call committees back, right? The recess to the call of the chair. So they can still have committees up to Fridays whenever. So that's all possible to happen to get this number of bills through that needs to be done.
Okay, great. And I think maybe you're off the next week. I'm not sure.
Yeah, off a week, back, and then off for Easter. And then when we come back after Easter, I think it's 5 or 6 weeks straight till the end of May. So, yeah.
Great. Well, we'll try and reconnect with you again in a couple weeks, and we can just see how things are going down there.
Excellent. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining me on this Facebook Live.